Hi, it's Chris, and this is my review of reading through the Bible in a year. Today's reading, August 10th, is Jeremiah 16, 17, 18, and then chapter 35 as well. Uh, to start out, God is giving Jeremiah a couple of warnings: not to marry and not to even attend parties and stuff, not to have children in the land of Judah, because the people are so terrible. None of the kids or none of the children that are born there are going to see. Um, they're going to die off. It's not going to be pretty. There's going to be a coming punishment because he's warned them again and again and again. God has warned the people, and them and their ancestors refused to obey God. And they chased after their own thoughts and ways, and so did they. So God's going to come against them. They worship false gods. They sacrifice their children. All that. Hope, despite the despair. Let's see. God says, "I'm watching them closely, and I see every sin." That rings true for us today. That He's watching us, and He's waiting for us to turn to Him. He just wants us to turn to Him and follow Him, and not useless images and lifeless images and detestable gods, Satan in disguise. And then we have Jeremiah's prayer of confidence. And it starts off this, and this is something we should be praying for right here. We should just pray this. Lord, you are my strength and fortress, my refuge in the day of trouble. Something to follow. And then the next part that I see in Jeremiah chapter 17, we've got, "Blessed are those who trust in the Lord. They have made the Lord their hope and confidence. They are like trees planted by along a riverbank with roots that reach deep into the water. And such trees are not bothered by the heat or worried about long months of drought. Their leaves stay green and they never stop producing fruit." Much like us, when we are planted and when we're connected to Jesus, our lifeblood, our source of the things that we need, when it's cut off for the rest of the world, we're plugged into the true source of that nourishment that's needed. So we are like trees planted by the river. When we're plugged into that, when the droughts come, when the attacks come, when things come against us, we're plugged into the true source. So we don't have to worry about these things. We shouldn't worry about it because we're plugged into the true source, and we will shine in that. It still doesn't mean it's going to be real easy, but we will have what we need in that time frame. And then the other part, this has got to be one of my favorite verses, and I'm not used to the NLT version, used to the New King James Version, but it says in Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 9, "The human heart is the most deceitful of all things and desperately wicked. Who really knows how bad it is?" So the New King James Version, which I'm much more useful, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?" And then it says in verse 10, "I, the Lord, search the heart, I test the mind, even to give every man according to his ways, according to the fruit of his doings." So God knows our heart, but be careful following your heart. When people say follow your heart, this is the thing I think of. The heart above all things is deceitful. Again, we follow what the truth of God says. We follow the word. We learn what it says, and we follow what it says there. That's one of my favorite verses there. Then we go to Jeremiah 17, starting at 11, and it's Jeremiah kind of pleading to God. And he just explains his pleading, and then he starts off with this. "O Lord, if you heal me, I will truly be healed. I will be truly healed. If you save me, I will be truly saved. My praises are for you alone." Some very true words there, and something to muster on a little bit, spend some time with. Then we get the example of the potter and the clay, that a potter is going to make something, and when it doesn't turn out like he wants it, he's just going to destroy it and start over. And God's going to do the same with the people of Jerusalem. He's going to destroy them, and he's going to start over again and start working with them. Now, if the people repent of their sins and he sees a way to bring the clay back with a little bit of nudging encouragement. But if the clay is not forming the way it's supposed to form, it's going to be destroyed. Again, all analogies run out, but you get the picture. Um, then there's the plot against Jeremiah, where they are coming against Jeremiah. They're tired of hearing him say all this evil that's coming their way, and because they don't want to change. They don't realize that they need to change, that he's given them every piece of advice to say change, and they're like, well, we really don't want to, and we don't want to hear about this destruction, this fear that's coming. It's not going to work, so let's do something bad to Jeremiah. Let's get him out of here. And Jeremiah says, Lord, hear me and help me. Listen to what my enemies are saying. Should they repay evil for good? They have dug a pit to kill me, though I have pleaded for them and tried to protect them from your anger. And then it goes on. And then he gets angry and just basically turns them over, but God's already told him to do that. And then he gives in chapter 35, God gives an example to Jeremiah and the people about the Rechabites that have their ancestors told them not to drink wine and live in tents and not to have anything, not to have crops or anything, and they end up moving to Jerusalem because of the Babylonians. And they are the example of doing what they're told to do and following along. They're the good example. Do this, and so God's going to bless them through this for their obedience in that, right? So that's where that's at. That's where we leave in this reading, is when we obey God and we do as He calls us to do. That's where we are in the right. When we do what we're called to do, when we are doing what He told us not to do, His wrath is going to be against us. Pretty straightforward. Seek God. Know that God has made everything. He created us, and He created this world for us. He created the air for us to breathe. He created the food, the drink, the water for us to drink. He created all things for us. He made us man and woman, and He gave us an action that we all love, right? But we pervert it, and we change it, and we try to make it our own, and we seek things that aren't supposed to be used in a certain way. The devil allows or promotes a perversion of what God made for good and pureness. Pervert the pureness. That's how the devil works. So again, seek what God has for you, and He will bless that. God blesses that. And with that, thanks. Peace.